is the prototype a human? You can still argument for both sides, but he is, I think. But certainly his body is not a human body. So if his body is not human, why would it be inappropriate to see him naked? Don't judge me, bro. You're the one who clicked this video, okay? Also, while the games take place on 2005, both Poppy and Ollie were born on mid-20th century, so they wouldn't be, you know. If you've seen the model of the prototype's arm in chapters 2 and 3, you would have noticed that his arm is mechanical. And of course it's not attached to anything, because the devs can show the whole body at this point. But when we see the whole body reveal in chapter 5, that part of the arm is covered by a sleeve. So then I couldn't help but ask myself, how does that part of the arm connect with the body? How is the shoulder? How does it work? Also, the prototype has been hinted to be mechanical and organic. So I wanted to see the organic part because there wasn't too much of that. But the problem here is that there haven't been many hints towards how he would look like inside. It's like as if that was part of his body, but obviously it's not. And by the way, this is the whole point of the video. We are gonna make our own design of the prototype's insides. First, there are two problems. The first one is that the prototype's strength and speed are less plausible than it is for iPhone to stop making practically identical iPhones. The materials it's made with literally can't hold this or this with that structure. It just physically does not add up, mostly with joints like this. Also, in the 20th century, no genius was ever able to design an arm that could move this fast. So for that, I'm sorry, but I cannot let that be. And I will redesign the arms as well. Another problem is that the prototype is thought to wear a mask. And even though it's not confirmed, there are several hints towards it. The first one is that the prototype's mouth has never moved. The second one is that he does not have a nose, and his face is always very stiff. So it would not make any sense for an experiment like this to have all of his facial muscles removed for no reason. And also, how would he eat? Because it has been confirmed that he does have a digestive tract, which would have either been put there or not have been removed at all for him to be able to use it, in case that the puppy gel didn't work, or that he wasn't as immortal as he is in the game. And you might say that the food would be planned to be decomposed on the stomach, but then why would his mouth be so closed? So let's get into it.
For the arm, I think I'd make it more robust to make it look stronger. I'm gonna do two initial approaches. The first one being more organic and the other one being more mechanic, while not getting too fixated in both of them. For the elbow, I'm not doing a cylinder, but a universal joint covered by a projection. And for the hand, I'm not gonna give it much thought. I just thinking of on doing a more human hand. And moving on to the mechanical design, it's quite thin, but I think just gonna focus on the design of how it works. And I think a hydraulic press would be a pretty good choice for a very strong character like Prototype. But there's a downside to this, which is that their mobility would be restricted. If the hydraulic press is too short, then it won't be able to push much, but if it's too long, then it won't be able to retract up on a certain point either. For the fingers, I'm gonna try saddle joints, which permit rotational movement in one plane. This is also how human fingers work as well. But what's important here is not the joint, but what force pulls the fingers forward and backward. These are the forearm muscles. Fingers can also move in a perpendicular plane, though the movement is way more restricted. And that's because of the muscles being bigger and more mobile in the forearm, while the muscles in the hand that pull the fingers sideways are way more underdeveloped, because if they weren't, the forearm muscles would have much less strength. I think wires would look really cool here because they would minister the muscles the substances they need to contract, and I don't know, they just look nicer. I did not do any recording of the rendering because why do you care? I did add a hydraulic press and did some changes on the muscles, but moving on to the next part. I'm gonna go with the full body now, using the arm that I drew just now, and I'm gonna draw it so you can clearly see the chest, shoulder, and core from a side plane. I'm not gonna go into detail on the face right now, since I'm gonna do that later. So as I mentioned before, I'm gonna cover the joints with the cylinder thingy, as you can see. So the left part would be attached to the cover, and the other one would be attached to a separate cover. And we can also use this system kind of thing for rotation. So I'm just trying to play around with things, hydraulic presses, plates for protecting the body and shit. Just experimenting, as you can see. I'm just gonna leave you with it for a while. By the way, I'm sorry if my microphone is shit because I'm using my computer's microphone. I'm gonna try changing that, but for now, I'm just sorry for this. I'm not gonna bother to explain everything that I'm drawing because you can just really see it. And yeah, I'm just recording and showing the parts here that are most important so you can just get an overall idea of how it is. By the way, if you don't like this redesign, I invite you to do your own in case this one doesn't make you hard enough. And if you do want that, then just go search it online and don't make it my problem because it is not my job. Now I'm gonna just leave you with the most crucial parts of the design, and I'm not going to just be explaining it to you because you already see how it is, because it's not necessary. By the way, this is a gear mechanism that multiplies the rotation movement, so the strap that's on the thing just can retract and pull the arm upwards. Here I'm gonna fix something on the torso and call it a day. If you wanna see how I did the shading here, you can't because I did not record it. But what I did was I duplicated the liner layer and I applied a blur filter to it. So I did that a few times, and the more I did it, the darker the shadows got. And I erased a few parts which were where the lighting was gonna go, and that's it. That's a super fast way of doing shading if you're not a big fan of doing that. Oh, that's it for the body for now. I'm gonna move on to the part of the face. If you want to take a closer look towards how I did it, you can always check the full speed paint that's on my channel. For the head, I'm gonna go deeper into what it would look like because I didn't like how it looked like before, except for the back of the head. That's
something I am gonna keep. So I'm just gonna focus on the face, and obviously I'm gonna draw the mask first because I want to get an idea of how the shape is supposed to be so the face can actually fit in the mask. It also has to be somewhat flat because a pointy nose would be like quite a problem for the mask fitting in because the mask is supposed to be still. Something important is the fact that only one eye glows, and like see why that happens. I figured out like I would make the right eye deformed in a way that he cannot open it. So yeah, I'm just gonna try to take this approach of asymmetry, but like a symmetry for being decayed and of a lot of wrinkles as well. Kind of like with Shigechi, but having been deformed by age instead. The smile is something quite important as well, because it's very recognizable from the prototype, like showing his teeth, and I think I should add that. It also helps a lot that with like his expression really good as well. This vibe it gives you like his skin. He's gonna kill you, but he's also like very confident of himself. He looks like even more asymmetrical, and it also looks kind of bad. So it would give him a reason to hide that from others. I think that would look cool. I should also add a bit of volume as well to make it feel more like there's a skin on the other side. Okay, I think that's a good line out, I guess. I don't really know what I'm doing here. So I'm just going to try to make another design. I'm going to try to make him even more distorted, because I think maybe what was before was a bit forced. Maybe stiff is a better word for it. So yeah, I'm just going to try to exaggerate that more and play a bit more with proportions, have a little bit less of wrinkles and age, just a different approach. I try to put the wrinkles more like closer to the eyes and our cartilage in the middle of the nose, but I know it looks off because it's kind of more like this than anything else. I don't know. I'm just gonna try to make a different approach because I think that making his eyes the same while still very disfigured is not gonna work, and also his expression just doesn't fit the character at all. So I'm gonna try something new. So a little bit like the first one, but with a different expression. Like when he was disappointed because of Poppy not understanding him and shit. I'm just gonna get on the colors right now. You pretty much know how this is. It's plain colors, then shading in a multiply layer. I'm also gonna do the rest of the body, and you already know what that is like because I did that before. Except for one detail actually, which is how the chest connects to the shoulder. I'm gonna make the shoulder have a hole for the chest muscle, so the chest can just look bigger. And that's pretty much the whole illustration. I did skip a lot of parts of the recording, and I am gonna leave you with the whole speed paint linked to this video, basically because I do not want to take too long and I do not want to get you bored. So I'm just gonna leave it now. The other design with the original arms I'm gonna make later because I am taking too long on this, way longer than I thought. So yeah, I guess I'll see you next time. I don't know when that is, though.